Hey everybody, and welcome back. This is my next episode, episode number 2 of going through this run of Final Fantasy VI T. The T-Edition as it's known. It is a romhack patch that includes a lot of extra things that have been done. It's supposed to be a little bit more difficult, added little adventures here and there as it's described. So this is, of course, my recording, my playthrough of it. And in our first episode, we were able to start the game off right away. As we look at the save file, we see that there were some costume changes. We're at the very end of Narshe, about to leave and head toward Figaro, but first we're here at the Adventurers Guild, where individuals kind of describe the world. I think this is all normal conversation. So normally in the game, these individuals are here just to tell you mechanics that you may not otherwise know. I believe there's a monster in the box in this one. Yep. And it's just the Lobo that we've been fighting. I like if you talk to him after the fact, it's like, yeah, no duh. So we're just gonna peek around and look at some of the items that we can get here. I just want to talk to... Oh, I think that's different. That wasn't normally mentioned. While defending, physical attacks are halved and magic is reduced by 33%. That's new, actually. You can press L or R to select all targets. Turn meters are located at the lower right hand. You can hit X or Y to skip. How to run. Characters in the back row take 1/3 less damage, but their attack power is also halved. Another piece of information I was not aware of. So it is cool, even little things like that. Ooh, there's an extra room over here. Normally there's only 3 rooms. The config menu includes an all-new music player. Press the A button while sound is selected to access it. Listen to all your favorite pieces of music and more. That is very interesting. Whoa, check it out. That is really cool. And look at this, stuff from others. Check it out. Wow, I might be playing around with this later. This is really... Wow, all the way up through Final Fantasy 13. Wow, I could spend... Oh, and the music stayed? Oh. Well, how cool is that? Alright, so here's the status effects and things like that. Let's see what's new. Invisible, yep. Toad, you can't use special skills or magic. Zombie attacks randomly, yep. If your skin is ashen... Oh. I'm confused. MP gradually decreases. That's a new status effect. Yep. Rage still works like rage. That's good to know. Reflect is active for only a short time and will not reflect blue magic. And we talked to this person already. Cool. So then there's this additional room over here with a chocobo. Secret room. achievement room, you can see what you've accomplished on your adventure in various ways. That's new. Collection room. Please consult the experts inside. Ooh, and that door is still shut. Oh. Obtain Modwin's horn and the silk dress. Successfully perform still many times. Defeat Cyan's nightmare. Learn all. Yeah. Moves with Interceptor. We'll learn about him much later. Liberate South Figaro from the Empire. That's later. Many times. Learn all 24. So basically, it's just telling us to do the skills of all the characters we'll be learning or getting throughout the game. Learn all 255 rages. Wow. 8 dances is easy-ish. Ice Storm Command. New outfit. Oh, we're gonna get new outfits for our characters. The collection room in the beginner's house. Or new game plus. Oh, there's a new game plus option. All the Magicite. Play for a long time. That does count. Side quest offered at Pops. That's new. And then T-Edition X. I did read in the README file that there's a bonus patch. This is awesome. There is all kinds of new stuff to do. And then these tables, I'm guessing, let me know as I meet those achievements. Well, I am impressed. Man, this whole video is just going to be me hanging around this place, huh? What is this? You can decorate this room with paintings from various Final Fantasy games. The X patch, okay. Oh man. All kinds of bonus content they created. Check that out. Her mother's name is Madeline instead of Madonna in this game. I guess this is where like maybe the key items, because I believe pendant is normally a key item. Yes. Cool. So as we get like the key items, they'll show up here. And then while we're here, let's look at this room. What do we got? This is kind of like Final Fantasy 5 with the celestial weapons or whatever they're called. There must be something special in here as well. So, okay, I mean, I've spent plenty of time. I'm sure everybody's kind of like bored with this, but this is all stuff for the special patch that were not in the original game, and I am stoked. So we might have to come back and visit this throughout the game. But let's continue and move on. Also interesting, the lock appears to be 2 levels ahead of Terra, so I don't know if it's hard set that lock is always going to be at 8, or whether each character will be 2 levels ahead of the last. I was expecting the lock to be 7 because that was 6. Alright, so we're moving out into the new world, or the overworld, the world of balance as it's called. So I'm looking at the map looks about right. Looks about the same, though I do see geographic differences. Like it's a topographical map that's different. So one thing I did think about earlier was that normally I set this to active. Battle speed is at 1. I'm going to keep battle speed at 2, but I'm going to set this to wait, and the reason I'm going to do that is because when it's at active, you could be in a menu and the battle's still going on, and that's helpful for battles where like you got to do a move like within a certain window of time. But with this game being harder, and I remember fighting that Welk, he had like some new moves, new strategies, That may mean that I might have to pause at some point in the middle of the battle to figure out what the best way to handle that battle is going to be, so... Ooh, Mandragora, this is a new monster. This guy was not in the original. They look like the Mandragoras from 12, actually. Final Fantasy 12. Ooh, it's a powerful move, too. Comparatively, at this point in the game. Alright, so there's really not a whole lot of places to go or things to do. Heading straight down to Figaro Castle is right here. And we'll go ahead and enter. So Figaro Castle is its own independent little nation, if you will. A castle in the middle of the desert. So this is the steampunk castle of Final Fantasy VI. Everyone wants us to go speak to the king first. As you could probably guess by this point, Figaro Castle is allied with Resistance. But it's a little more complicated than that, and we'll take a look at that in just in a second. Looking at the prices of items here, tents look a little bit more expensive than usual. Phoenix Downs as well. But there is something that we're going to need over here. So, ooh, wow, these are expensive. Far more expensive than usual. So the game is going to give us a crossbow naturally. Noise Blaster I never use, but Bio Blaster might come in handy. I'm going to skip this for now, we'll come back to it, because the crossbow is really all that I'll need to start off with. That's going to be a weapon for our new, or a skill I should say, for our new cast member that we'll be getting shortly. I say cast member interestingly, and I'll go into that in just a second, but we've got some story going on here. This is the king who has a new costume as well. He is normally kind of like a turquoise green color. That's blue with red trim. So this is our third character. He is the young king of Figaro Castle, Imperial Ally, that should be in quotation marks honestly, and champion of the technological revolution. His name is Edgar Roni Figaro. We're just going to make it Edgar. Edgar is a very suave, ladies man kind of character. He's also an engineer by class. And he is the king of Figaro and older of two brothers, as we'll learn shortly. So Edgar says, "You're an Imperial soldier, don't worry, we're allies with the Empire. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like." Of course, with Locke being a member of the Resistance and being a good personal friend of the king, we know that that's just a facade. So our introductory impact of King Edgar is that he is indeed kind of a ladies' man. Oh, the original line there is Tara says, "A normal girl would have found him dashing, but I'm hardly normal." So now we have free reign to kind of wander around. Probably not too much to worry about as far as talking, and we can move around as much as we'd like, but to advance the plot, So Edgar is truly a nice guy, despite this character flaw that everyone keeps harping on. To advance the plot, though, we do need to go to the left tower and talk to the matron, or high priestess in this case. This is going to start a flashback where we learn a little bit about Edgar's twin brother, younger twin brother. So this really isn't discussed right now, but it's being made evident that their father, the king, is about to die. There's more to that will be discussed later on. Edgar's twin brother, who traded the throne for his own freedom, is Sabin. Sabin Figaro. He also has a costume change, it looks like, and we'll be seeing more of him in about 30 to 45 minutes of game time. But it was important to get that name put in and learn a little bit about him. And after that little side conversation, that will allow the next event to be triggered, which is King Edgar has returned to his throne and we just need to go talk with him. It's interesting to know there is stuff that's to do down here. There's a bunch of thieves who are in jail, including Lone Wolf the Pickpocket and these 3 other thieves. What's interesting at this game is that there's so much impact. All 4 of these individuals at different times are going to come into play in the story later. It's just like characters, even if they seem insignificant, have a part in the game. I did run into a little bit of a technical difficulty recording earlier, and while I was kind of pontificating on the game, I accidentally used the word protagonist describing Terra. But this is the kind of game where it would be difficult to call Terra a protagonist. She is the first character you get, and the plot does tend to revolve around her. But equal time is really given to several characters in this game. And so, while you would say that Terra is a main character, this is the sort of game you can't really say there is a primary main character. Final Fantasy VII is Cloud, Final Fantasy IV is Cecil, 8 is Squall, 9 is Zidane. I mean, pretty much everybody's going to say that, it stands out, but 6 is the kind of game where people might question whether you would say Terra is the main character. Because there will be large periods of time where we don't have Terra in the party, and the plot actually revolves around other characters that we might get. Edgar is a great example. We'll have periods of time where Edgar is the primary focus for long periods of time. Alright, so getting back to talk to Edgar. Edgar says that we have a visitor from the Empire, and it is none other than Kefka, who we were introduced to in the flashback earlier. This little soliloquy by Kefka tells you everything that you need to know about him. Especially this little bit. There's sand on my boots. He is power hungry. He is not merciful. He is not a good boss. He browbeats people. He does not respect individuals of other powers. Now we get to be Edgar for a second. What brings Emperor Gestal's own court mage? Feel like he wants to say court jester there. A girl of no importance recently escaped from us. We heard she found refuge here. This wouldn't have to do with that witch everyone's been whispering about. Lies, she merely stole something of minor value. I mentioned earlier during the little movie, they used your imagination, so, you know, if you're 11 years old playing this game, and this is your first time playing through, and games didn't talk, because this was back in the early 90s, the voices in your head that you would come up for these characters, they stick with you. To this day, I still read these lines the same way. So some pretty low-veiled threats that are about to happen. Where did Tara go? He's hiding behind the door. I'd love to stay in chat, but the Chancellor and I need to do some planning now. That is not the original line. Sometimes it's not good to be the king, or not fun to be the king, or something like that. So Locke leads you, or in that case I got to run ahead of him. I always like to try to do that. See, he's very considerate of her, taking her into consideration ever since that amnesia line earlier. Is it true that you're a thief? I'm a treasure hunter. That's his character thing, is that he hates being called a thief. So now we get to learn a little bit about the true relationship of Figaro. On the surface, they pretend to be allies, but he's collaborating with the returners, which is the resistance, and Locke is their go-between. And Arvis, the old man, was part of the returners as well. So Tara is conflicted because she technically is a soldier, and in fact a ranking soldier of the Gestalian Empire. But knowing that she was essentially being forced to do that, does she really have a choice? So Tara's character arc is identity. Who is she? Who does her loyalties lie with? Who even is she as a person? The Locke's statement that she should make her own decisions. She doesn't even know how to do that. She hasn't had that ability for a very long time. Now, a lot of people tell her that she needs to follow her heart, she needs to just do what feels right for her. But it's an interesting statement to make for somebody who literally had that ability taken away from her. So trying to identify who she is as an individual, as a person, as a entity of free will, is part of her story arc. So later on in the night, Edgar is awoken by the sounds of fire coming from outside. So Edgar is level 9, which is a level above what Locke was, so that still fits in line with. You'll notice that we now have a crossbow that comes with his character. Fire, fire. I always read that line as Beavis. From Beavis and Butthead. 90s reference. So the castle has been set on fire by Kefka. Kefka's believing that Edgar is willing to capitulate at this point. Edgar calls some chocobos that he had ready, which now gives Kefka the impression that he's leaving. But even this is a ruse, as Kefka will find out in 3, 2, 1. Being the technologically advanced castle that Figaro is with steampunk technology, it has the ability to submerge under the sand for protection, which coincidentally will also put the flames out. And I love this line. Oh. Normally it says no one can harm the people of Figaro. So cool story arc here. This will lead us to our next boss battle. So before we were in the Magitech armor, but now we actually have to fight some Magitech armor. Now, when Terra uses magic, it triggers an event here, which is fun to watch. So we'll do it. I like how the enemies are just going to wait for us to do this little conversation. And this is a nice reminder. See, we've had Terra since the beginning of the game, but we kind of forget that she is the only person who actually knows how to use magic in the world. And especially to Locke and Edgar. I like how Locke has seen this, but it didn't put 2 and 2 together until Edgar said something. Her name was Terra, right? And of course, Locke is, you know, the savvy wit, but also the carrying the heroic thief. Terra can use magic, we can't. That's all there is to it. Thank you. Wink. I've always liked that little scene. Ooh, whoa. Okay. Once again, we've got some enemies that are much harder than in the past. That was a big hit. Alright, so we need to focus here for a second. These guys are going to hit pretty hard. Then rather than have Terra attack, Terra needs to heal. And we'll leave attacking primarily to Edgar, whose crossbow does quite a bit of damage. Now, as saw earlier, there are other tools I could have bought while we were in Figaro. I won't have that opportunity now. Noise Blaster just confuses enemies, but it has a pretty low opportunity to actually hit. Bioblaster was like what we used at the beginning of the game. It hits all the enemies with a poison attack. But that crossbow actually does physical damage, and quite a bit of it, so the crossbow will be primarily what we're going to be doing with Edgar for quite a while. Son of a sandworm. I think he says son of a submariner before. And this is a nice little scene here. So again, Tara is still coming to grip with the concept that she can make decisions for herself. Now that she's actually fighting because she has to fight, not because somebody's telling her, it puts her in some moral conflict. But Locke and Edgar are trying to help convince her that she's needed in this battle that's going to come. And it's a very sensitive subject because we're talking about Tara has these powers and they want her to use them for the Returner side against the Empire, but essentially wouldn't that just be the same thing that she was, but for the other team? This line right here by Edgar, no human is born with the powers you have. That triggers that identity crisis again. And so Edgar makes a good point that even though she's torn about the fact that she has these powers and both sides want her essentially because they want her to fight for them, Edgar makes the point that the Empire's goal is to take over the world. If you fight for them, you're going to be used for evil purposes. He said, truthfully, if you don't even understand yourself, at the very least come meet with the leader of the Resistance, the Returners. He may be able to help you find out more about why you have those powers, or essentially, who are you? So the Returner's hideout is actually a little distance away, so we'll be traveling to a couple of different locations. First is this cave. We're in a bit of a bad situation as far as Ribeye being knocked out here. I have 2 Phoenix Downs and then that would be it. And they were expensive in the stores. I do not know if a tent will heal everybody or not. I'm not sure if I want to risk it or not. I hate to use both of my Phoenix Downs right here. I don't think I've got much of a choice. So let's go ahead and just do it. And if I have to grind to get a little bit of money so that I can buy some basic supplies later, well then, so be it. I'm gonna throw a save. So this guard is guarding the cave normally. If earlier we tried to come here before Figaro, we couldn't. Oh man, I just realized that there's a free heal right here. I just wasted those Phoenix Downs. Wish I could take that back. Those are the little mistakes that are going to end up hurting me in the long run. Earlier at the adventure school, they talked about recovery springs. There's one coming up here, and that would have healed my entire party. Stole something called a cure-all. So 100 experience per battle. Means I could probably gain a couple of levels here. So what we'll probably do is hang around the entrance, but still kind of move through this little area. There are chests in this cave. I will not be collecting them now. For fairly knowledgeable reasons. In other words, it's something that I know that you may not know if you've never played the game. If you go through this cave now, there are certain items in each chest. But later we have to come back through this cave again, in about an hour and a half or so. And there are different items if you didn't open the chest the first time. And in fact, one of the items is actually a powerful weapon. So for that purpose, I will not be opening the chests that are in here. Part of the reason is I forget which chest exactly is that great weapon, but the other part of me is I'm personally interested to see if it's still there, or if there's something different there. But if that's the case, I'd like to see if that's true for all the chests. Maybe they're all different. Now, I'd like to not spend large periods of time grinding, just because I know that would be boring to somebody who's watching this, just watching battling over and over again for grinding purposes. However, I do feel that it's going to be necessary because of the difficulty swing in this game. So this will be one of those times where I'm just going to take a couple of moments, not a very long period of time, just grind up a little bit. So this would be a good opportunity, it looks like, to maybe stock up on some potions by stealing some items. The cure-all looks like it's going to be kind of like a remedy. Has a good potential to be worth selling some if I get a little on money. In case you're wondering, yes, that is a turtle out in the middle of that lake. That turtle will be there for a very long time. In fact, one might say that turtle will be there for years. But turtles live a long time, so... So knowing the game that I do, as I do, I'm picturing in my head knowing that these boss battles have been kind of a little harder. Normally you can kind of sleepwalk through the game. You don't have to do any grinding or anything like that for the most part. I like to do a little bit because it makes it smoother. But if you were just playing casually and you didn't grind, you don't really have any challenges or anything that is concerning until... not the next boss we're about to fight, but the boss after that. So I'm thinking ahead to a couple of bosses from now. It is a harder boss fight. has the potential of being dangerous. And if that's more difficult, then I'm trying to think who on my party I need to get stronger, and that person is Terra. Terra is the character that will help us through that fight. So with that piece in mind, kind of want to make sure she's got a couple levels at this point, and she'll gain a few more before then. But she needs to be able to do some considerable damage during the battle. With the font being different for the damage, I don't know what made me think of this, but somewhere in the back of my head I'm wondering if perhaps this game was so kind as to exceed the 9,999 cap. That would be pretty awesome if later in the game I was doing in excess of that per hit. And I know there are ways around that, obviously, for like being able to hit multiple times, for instance, but I mean in one hit. Just do a couple more battles here, and then I believe we'll go ahead and move forward. And at the other end of this cave, once we leave this cave, it feels like that'll be a comfortable place to end our second episode. Ooh, somebody dropped a cotton rope. So that's going to lower physical defense but raise magic defense. I think there are certain monsters that's going to be advantageous too as we move forward. So it looks like he does the same damage with the crossbow in the back row, so I'm just going to keep him in the back row. Really, that's all he's going to do is use that auto crossbow. And then once again, there are, several chests. We will be getting those chests the next time through. Okay, looks like both Terra and Locke will be gaining a level here in the next battle. So we'll just leave the cave. Do one more battle before we turn off. Belmodar. So normally this is called Rhinox, I believe. They're unlocking new levels, and we'll throw save here. So we are right outside of the town of South Figaro. On our next episode, we'll explore South Figaro, a nearby hut, and we'll begin heading our way through Mount Kolbs to the east. Once again, I appreciate you watching, going through this adventure with me. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll continue with episode 3 next time.